picture me. Survival world. Placing anything between a couple dozen and 31,924 stone. When a drowned comes up and starts attacking me, I fight back. Valiantly, of course. And as I'm dealing the killing blow with help from my super radical water-breathing helmet, I begin to think about the ramifications of enchanting. How does it work? Like, for real? Does Minecraft have a magic system? Because this seems pretty magical. It's kind of sad that the enchanting table gets forgotten after your first set of armor. I mean, I made an entire room in my house for it and it just sits there, neglected. Do you think it has feelings? Do you think it loves? I managed to defeat the drowned, somehow, and a beautiful idea sparks in my head. I have been blessed by my patron goddess with the power to draw. Why don't I do that? Now, there's a lot of enchantments in Minecraft and so many things they can go on. So, for this video, I'm going to be drawing 8 different armor enchantments. 4 that are specialized to a specific piece of armor, aka Aqua Infinity for the helmet, and 4 that are full sets. Weapons can be done at a later date if people like this video enough. I just thought I'd keep it simple. I have a set of ground rules for myself to make it so that these could be realistically modeled into Minecraft hypothetically. These are very simple. First just being that I'm drawing in square shapes to match the art style of Minecraft, and the second is pixel size. Initially I wanted to follow the size of the pixels that are on Minecraft skins, but when I actually started sketching and drawing, it turned out to be a lot more difficult than I expected to try and fit details in that 8 pixel wide parameter. I decided as a limit that the smallest size detail I'd go down to is a 1/4 of a pixel. Enough blabbing? Yeah, okay, let's go. Respiration! This is the idea that inspired the video, the one I got during that epic battle. I started my design process by collecting and listing all of the initial ideas I had relating to the prompt. This included scouring Pinterest and the Minecraft wiki under anything related to aquatics. But one thing you'll notice is that compared to how much you should research and sketch and concept, I will often scrape by with a bare minimum idea before going into a final piece. This is because I'm no longer in high school design class and I'm free to do what I want forever. But I will take you through the steps that I do actually do, which often isn't much. Respiration helps you breathe longer underwater, so I collected a list of aquatic things that give you a status effect. Dolphin gives you speed, not help for this, but could be reimagined for Aqua Infinity. Mining fatigue from Guardians, which does the exact opposite to what we want. And a conduit, which does a whole bunch of stuff like increasing mining speed, night vision, killing nearby wet hostile mobs, but most importantly, gives you water breathing, in a similar although not depleting way to respiration. A conduit is powered by a square structure of prismarine the player constructs with a conduit block inside. The conduit is crafted by surrounding the heart of the sea with nautilus shells, so all up we have a lot of different blocks and items to play with. I started by sketching up my concept idea. Now, because this was the one that gave me the initial idea, I already had a pretty clear vision on what I was hoping to achieve. I wanted to mimic how the conduit looks and is crafted. You might notice, if you're a big conduit fan, this is not what a conduit looks like. This is a heart of a sea, which you use to make conduits. I do not realize this until I'm writing the script and look up conduit to find the crafting recipe. Anyways, in my concept, I mimic the look of the prismarine exterior by adding this monahawk looking thing along the top, with it coming to a point on the forehead at the heart of the sea. I did add nautilus shells on the side mimicking horns because I thought it looked cool. I didn't really change much about the design in the final version, just cleaned it up and tried to draw it how it would be if it was modeled in 3D. Still cursing myself for not being able to figure out how Blockbench works. To make up for not taking a listen of the song How Do I Craft This Again into account in my research, I did this little animation to show how it might look if the heart of the sea on the helmet was a conduit instead, based on the in-game animation. Sorry. Unbreaking! Moving to our first full armor set, Unbreaking. Here I turn to references based in reality rather than Minecraft. I tried to brainstorm things that reminded me of strength, but nothing really clicked. Until I remembered kintsugi. Kintsugi is a Japanese method of pottery repair, where the cracks are fused together using tree sap and then decorated with metal powder, popularly gold. I really enjoyed this idea. The only thing is that seeing cracked things doesn't really evoke the idea of something that doesn't break easily. So I tried to think of something strong, like some sort of warrior. To pair the two inspirations, I decided to go with samurai to base our design off. This was my concept sketch. The gold parts are assessed into the armor. The stripes, although they're not physically extra armor pieces, are supposed to evoke the image of them, if that makes sense. The lines are supposed to mimic how samurai armor looks without actually being samurai armor. That being said, I did add the horn-like crests of a kabuto on the helmet for a little bit of extra pizzazz. Mending! Now, I intended to split these sections up into one full set and then a singular piece repeating, but the mending is literally the same as the unbreaking, just with the colors of the Minecraft experience points, which is how you repair Minecraft armor with mending on it. It also glows a little. I decided to make these two the same because they're really similar concepts and I cannot think of another idea that would work better for mending that I couldn't have used for unbreaking as well, so I might as well just make them the same. Swift Snake! This is the one I'm the most unsure about. I mean, I didn't even do concept sketches, I just jumped straight into it, but it's up to you to decide whether you like it or not. Swift Sneak is the enchantment that you can put on leggings to make it so that when you're crouching, you can move faster. This enchantment is only obtainable from and useful in ancient cities because you have to crouch in there, otherwise the warden will hear you and get you. It's sort of known in the Minecraft community as one of the most useless enchantments, but alas. Shulker sensors won't hear you if you move over wall blocks, which stops the vibrations of noise or something. So the idea I had was woolen chaps that go over the armor to hypothetically stop the plates from chafing on each other and making a whole lot of noise. I decided the wool was going to be red because it's the best color. Fight me. The reason I feel sort of funny about this one is because the ones we've had and the ones we will have all have the designs as a part of the armor. It is the specific ore that the enchantment is attached to. In our example cases, diamond. This isn't really, it's just sort of sitting on top. I think it's a good idea, but I'm not sure how much it fits the whole shmoosh, you know? Give me your thoughts. Feather falling! This one was another sort of no-brainer for me. Shoes that are associated with feathers and staying in the air. Hermes shoes. Woof. I chose Hermes because if you're unaware, he was the messenger of the ancient Greek gods, using his winged sandals, called the Teleria, to travel around. You'll notice I prefer indented rather than outdented. Is that the word? I just think it looks more of taste? Tastier? Chic? Or something? I break this rule later, but it's mostly true. The indents are meant to mimic sandals in the same way that unbreaking is supposed to mimic samurai armor. The wings I originally draw are meant to be like real wings, cream colored, but at the end I end up changing them to look like bronze, the classic ancient Greek metal. There's not much else to say about these ones. Fire protection! Fire protection was a difficult one for me to work out. I leaned more strongly towards real-life inspirations with this one, trying to find out if there are any living creatures that are fireproof. And although, shockingly enough, there isn't, there are fire-resistant animals. The one I was drawn to the strongest? The echidna. After bushfire events in Australia, people tended to notice that even as the rest of the general animal population decreased, echidnas stayed relatively the same. After observation, we found out that this is because in the days after a bushfire, they would go into a sort of short hibernation, conserving their energy so they wouldn't have to go out in the dangerous remains of the bushfire. This was my initial design sketch. I face a problem here where I wanted to mimic the quills in an echidna, which, unfortunately, are triangle-y. Minecraft, squarey. Problem. I think I did pretty well incorporating this into the square style I'd been using thus far. A fun little trick you can use when you can't use triangle shapes is that you can create them in the negative space of the design. These squares, on different angles, come up to a point where it looks like a triangle. I'm a big fan of negative space when it comes to artwork and design. If you are an artist and you feel your composition or design is falling flat, I highly recommend dedicating some time into studying negative space. I'm passionate, okay? You'll see that the decorative choice I chose to take on the quills is a magma block pattern. I didn't take the opportunity to make this design more based on Minecraft, so this is my little touch to invoke that nether feeling. Soul Speed! You might have worked out by now I love my historical and mythological references when it comes to designs, and this one is no different. I heard Soul Speed and immediately got thinking about whether there's a pre-existing spirit that is based on a shoe or something related. Turns out, yeah, it's Japanese again. Bakizori. It's a yokai spirit that looks like a zori sandal, with arms and legs but only one lone eye. After hearing the description, the idea came to me quickly. As I mentioned earlier, I broke my indented rule on this one. I just think that external lines look better when it comes to the inclusion of the eye on the side. It makes it look like an actual eyelid and not like the eye is just existing on the surface of the armor. Soul Speed boots are already unique in the original game for having this cute little effect when you run over soul sand. So that's what this little detail in the illustration is. The eyes are that color because I thought it looked cool. Thorns! I wanted to make thorns spiky, funnily enough. My initial collection of references were just photos of armor with spikes with some biblical references thrown in for good measure, but then I noticed how the spiky armor reminded me of dragons. And then, of course, the Ender Dragon. The Ender Dragon, who also uses Dragon's Breath, another element in the game that ticks down health in a similar vein to the Thorns enchantment. I began to sketch using these ideas, exploring things like using wings underneath the arm, but it evoked flight more than thorns, so I scaled it back to just be a decorative piece on the back of the armor. This is where the problem I talked about earlier came back in. I wanted thorns to feel pointy, but I could only use squares to achieve this. I think my final piece does this well. The square shapes coming down to a small point, and the amount of them I think sell this. This one might fall a little hard on the rule of cool, but I don't care. I had too many ideas that I didn't want to leave out. The helmet has a crown-like detail extruding from it, which could be both a regular crown or a reference to Jesus' crown of thorns like in my concept, which is apt. There are spikes going along the top like a dragon, paired with horns. The chest plate has tiered pauldrons with spikes running along the shoulder and extended arm armor with the same spikes. I add decorative tule to the legs? Is that how you say it? The boots have little claws on them to look like a dragon with more spikes. I gave the torso this purple color to link us back to Dragon's Breath. Perhaps it's parrying the thorns effect throughout the armor. This is probably my favorite out of all of them. I just really like how it turned out. That was fun, wasn't it? Yeah. What's that? Oh my god.
They tried to put me on the cover of Vogue, but my legs were too long. I'm legendary, all legs, no dairy. I'm legendary, all legs, no dairy. Legs, what's on the menu? Legs, what's on the menu? Legs, what's on the menu? Legs.
I hope you enjoyed this. I didn't get around to all of the enchantments because there's a freaking lot of them. I'd be keen to either do a part 2 to this video with more armor enchantments or with weapons. As I mentioned, I purposely didn't include them to make this video simpler, but I've got some ideas brewing. Please let me know in the comments if you've got any ideas at all for enchantments I didn't do, or did. I'd love your feedback and personal interpretation on what decisions you'd make on the enchantments in this video. If you suggest any new enchantments, who knows, they might end up being drawn next time. If there is a next time, let me know if you liked this video by commenting or liking or subscribing and all those other lovely things. And without further ado,